Hi, I'm Patrick Convery. You are watching Unclogged, the Zoom Drain podcast. And with me today is Justin Judd, VP of Sales and Partnerships at CHIIRP, where Justin is helping home service businesses win faster and follow up smarter. And for those of you who don't know anything about CHIIRP, we'll give you a brief introduction here. CHIIRP helps home service businesses convert more leads, simplify follow-ups, and boost customer loyalty with AI-driven SMS, email, and ringless voicemail. They make communication effortless, support unbeatable, and AI smarter than ever. So you can focus on what you do best while CHIIRP handles the rest. Today, Justin and I are going to jump into why speed to lead is king, why it is a make or break piece of today's home service business, the biggest trends shaping the industry today, and how CHIIRP is helping contractors stay ahead with unbeatable follow-up and frictionless communication. And I know we have a number of franchisees within the Zoom Drain Nation utilizing CHIIRP today. So I'm really excited to jump in. This has been a long time in the making. Justin, welcome.
Thanks for having me, man. Super excited to be here. Where my mind is going right now is you said something really cool in that intro, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was like, man, I want to steal that. It was something like you focus on what you do best and let CHIIRP follow, handle the rest or something like that, but it was much better than that. So anyways, I'm going to ask you for that after this podcast so that we can use some of that in our marketing.
Yeah, man. We make communication effortless, support unbeatable, and AI smarter than ever. So you can focus on what you do best while CHIIRP handles the rest.
That right
Your
there.
marketing team gave that to me. I can't take
Oh,
credit for it.
really?
They gave that to me.
Okay.
That's how we introduced you at our national conference back in October. So
Yeah,
I'll
I
take
like
credit for
that.
now, but no, shout out to your team. You guys have been awesome to
Cool.
work with. Like I mentioned, this has been a long time in the making. We've talked about having this conversation back, I think, midway through 2025. And I appreciate you jumping on and helping me break the ice. This is the first time we're really having a live podcast in the Zoom room, the Zoom Drain media production studio. So I'm excited to kind of baptize it with you today to break the ice.
Yeah,
And
I love it. It looks awesome.
thank you.
I
Yeah.
respect somebody that goes all in on a podcast because it's a lot of work. We've done it, and there's a lot of work that goes into it, so it looks good.
Cool. Thank you. Well, let's jump right into it. I mean, speed to lead, I think it's a term. I want to start at the most basic. Speed to lead is a term that people hear all the time, people use, but do they know exactly what it means? I don't think we have to overcomplicate it, but I want to kind of toss it over to you. Define speed to lead and why does it matter today?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So I'm going to try and simplify this as much as I can just because I think the term gets thrown out there a lot and just want to make sure that we're clear what we're talking about when we say speed to lead. So for people listening, let's imagine that you have a website and you have contact forms on your website. So someone goes to your website, they fill out one of those contact forms. Well, the way that it works for, most contractors is when someone fills out that form, the contractor gets an email with that lead information. And then they're relying on somebody to pick up the phone and call that lead. Okay. The problem with that is things get busy in the business. So how long is it taking them to actually call that lead? So what speed delete is we would connect a tool like CHIIRP to that website form, and right when it gets submitted, that lead would get a text message instantly. And what that does is it puts us within the 1 minute window for maximum conversion. That's why it's called speed to lead. The reason that it matters is because we don't have attention spans as human beings anymore. With TikTok and Facebook, and then it's actually getting even worse with how quickly AI is moving. We don't have attention spans. People want things quick and people want things easy. And so when a new lead comes in, if we're not contacting them right away, what do you think's going to happen?
On to the next.
They're on to the next. It's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
There's been a ton of studies done around this. If you're listening to this, go to Google, type in speed to lead. You can find tons of studies on this, but basically what the data shows is that when a new lead comes in, if we can contact that lead within 1 minute, chances of converting increase by 391%. Okay. Waiting just one extra minute, and this is where I think it gets really interesting. By the way, I'm just trying to get out of the light there, so I'm going to sit here for a minute.
You're playing tag with the sun there.
Yes, sir. So basically, if you wait one extra minute, so instead of contacting that lead within 1 minute, let's say you contact it within 2 minutes, the chances of converting that lead have dropped in half. So that the value of that lead has already dropped in half. That's pretty crazy if you think about it.
When did it change to 1 minute, right? I'm assuming there was a time when 5 minutes was acceptable. It just seems like everything is faster and faster and faster.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know the exact time that it changed to 1 minute. I know that the data started coming out from these studies about 7 years ago. So obviously you had the launch of the internet, and then you had the launch of Facebook, and then you had the launch of TikTok. But anytime we get the launches of these digital things that just get
Yeah.
people distracted, our attention span starts to get lower and lower.
You keep mentioning attention span, which is 100% accurate. I would even take it a step further and say that this all happened really back when X was Twitter with those short posts, limited character counts. You went
Totally.
from reading full paragraphs and watching full-length videos on Facebook to now these, one or two short sentences, and everything is very punchy, very fast.
Totally.
It's more than people don't have the attention span. People don't have patience today either. We want instant gratification across the board. And when you're booking a service with somebody like Zoom Drain, that expectation is no different. We want to hear back from you immediately. We want that gratification to know, we want that gratification of knowing that they received my booking request. I am on the schedule. I know they're coming fast, which aligns with our model. We do pride ourselves in the speed and of course the quality of our service, but the response time, getting out there quickly, addressing the problem efficiently. So speed to lead, no different, really an important part of the business. You mentioned an example, of what speed to lead is, and you had mentioned the contact form on a website.
Yep.
But the reality is, with almost all businesses today, but especially home services, there are so many different lead sources. So you may have a contact form on your website, you may have an AI chat bot, you may have an online scheduler, but you're also using Google PPC campaigns to drive leads. You're on Angie, you're on Thumbtack, you're on eLocal. There are
Yep.
all these different sources, and I'm assuming they all have different best practices on what to say, how to say it, how often you need to communicate or follow up with customers, depending on where they're coming from. Can you talk a little bit about best practices and strategies when it comes to communicating per platform or per lead source?
Yes, that you bring up a really good point. So I went to the contact form just to help people understand the kind of the psychology behind speed to lead and how it works. That strategy I went over can be done on the contact forms on your website, the chat on your website, Facebook lead ads, Angie, Thumbtack, Yelp, eLocal, Google LSA, Networks, Modernize, HomeBuddy, WinGen. And so that exact process can be done on all of those lead sources, and it's absolutely crucial. And the reason it's crucial is because we spend thousands of dollars to generate leads. But when it comes to converting those leads at the highest level, at least from, what we see, we're not quite investing as much energy into making sure that we're converting the leads that we're paying for. And so, yes, to answer your question, depending on the lead source, there's a lot of different strategies. If somebody goes to the contact form on your website, when you're triggering that text message, you're not just triggering one text message to go out immediately. You're actually triggering an entire follow-up sequence because the person may not respond to that initial text message. But for the contact form on a website, best practice is that you want to trigger about 3 text messages over a week-long period. Why? Because the person's already gone to your website, they've researched your company, they know who you are a little bit, right? When it comes to an Angie lead, and that lead is going to 5 other competitors, best practice is that you want to trigger 7 text messages over a 7-day period. Why? Because that lead's going to other contractors and we're spending a lot of money for that lead. And so, yeah, depending on the lead source, there's different strategies that you want to use as far as how aggressive or non-aggressive you are in the follow-up.
Now, that's interesting that the cadence that you mentioned, I know those are just broad examples.
Yeah.
How can CHIIRP kind of consult with Zoom Drain franchise owners in building a cadence that makes sense for our business model? Because unlike somebody who goes to a home service brand, fills out a contact form, or even goes on Angie to collect some quotes for maybe a bathroom remodel or pest control services, we really are an emergency-based business. When
Yeah.
people call Zoom Drain or they reach out to us online, it's typically because they have a clog. Their toilet's
Yeah.
backed up, they're ankle deep in the shower, their
Yep.
basement's flooding. So do
Yep.
you tweak the strategies and do you help coach our franchise owners through best practices based on the service model?
Absolutely. That's a really good point. So in the case that you're more of an emergency-based business, that would be something that would be important for, the CSM that you're working with at CHIIRP to know, because in that case, we would definitely tweak how aggressive we were going to be in that follow-up, and not only how aggressive we're going to be, but some of the wording that we put in the messaging, and then also for emergency-based businesses, and really for a lot of these strategies in general, you want to put a booking link in the text message. So imagine, you get a new lead and that new lead gets a text message instantly. And in that text message, there's a link to book a job with you. Now you've solved for the fact that you're an emergency-based business because you've contacted that lead right away. But on top of that, you've given them the ability to schedule the job immediately.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes it super convenient for the customer. And like you said, you're not giving your competitors the opportunity to swoop in, right?
Yep.
And to get in front of
Yep.
them, have them book the job with them. And a lot of these individual vendors or platforms offer similar services, but they're for, an additional cost. You
Yep.
work with Thumbtack, they have an autoresponder built in, but you're paying X amount each month. With
Yep.
CHIIRP, you can kind of consolidate it. You have this umbrella communication plan. Doesn't matter really where the lead's coming from, right? You're able to respond quickly.
Exactly. And then you have all of your communication with your leads in one spot instead of having several different softwares that you're using to communicate with your leads.
Are there any other nuances when it comes to maybe it's the timing, maybe it's the messaging per platform? Are there things that you see that work with Angie that don't work as well with Thumbtack? Maybe it's even the location of the scheduler link that you include. Maybe you lead with it in one, you can save it for the end with another. Like, what are some? Spill the beans, man. Give me some of the
Yeah,
secret
I'm
sauce
gonna
here.
spill. Yes, absolutely. So, do you have Zoom Drain franchises that use Yelp at all?
We do, yeah. Not in every
Okay.
market. It's big, more out on the West Coast. We have
Okay.
a lot more Yelp users, people who turn to Yelp for home services, not just restaurants, right? Certain markets in Texas, and it is kind of random, honestly, throughout the
Okay.
nation. But Yelp,
Okay.
like where we are in Philadelphia, Yelp used to be huge for more restaurants. Now I think just with the explosion of Google and Google business reviews, most people are just turning there. We're not huge Yelp users out here in Philly. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, there are a handful of
Okay.
franchisees on Yelp.
So here's an interesting thing about Yelp. Yelp doesn't share the customer's phone number, right? So when you get a new lead, there's no way for us to actually trigger a text message to that customer because we don't get their phone number. So what you want to do with Yelp is you want to set up a CHIIRP AI agent, which you can do. And what we do is we train that AI agent to get the customer's phone number. So that
Interesting.
AI agent is actually in the Yelp platform, but you train it to collect the lead's phone number because right when the AI agent collects the phone number, then we trigger the follow-up outside of Yelp, right? And so we've got their actual phone number and we can trigger the text message follow-up, and then at that point you can put the booking link in the text message. So that would be one specific strategy that most people just aren't aware of because they don't know that Yelp
Ah,
doesn't share the
yeah.
person's phone number. Um, I can go on and on with this. There is different strategy for Angie and Thumbtack as well. So if you want me
Yeah.
to dive into those, I can.
No, I think that was that was a great example of how nuanced each of these platforms are and how you
Yeah.
guys have kind of figured out a way to navigate each of them, which is really interesting with Yelp that your AI is able to work inside of the Yelp platform.
Yep.
Pretty cool. I will ask one specific question then, because I know with LSA it's optional, right? If somebody's filling out a web form through Google local service ads,
Yep.
they don't have to include their phone number. They can, which makes life easy. Do you have any workarounds there?
Yeah. The so for Google LSA, we just built a new integration where Google is sharing the customer's phone number. So, but you have to have messaging on. So a lot of people with LSA, they don't have messaging on, and the reason they don't have messaging on is why?
They know they can't respond fast
Because they
enough.
know
They'll
they're
lose the
not,
lead.
yeah, because they know they weren't responding quick enough. But if you have a tool like CHIIRP, and by the way, there is other softwares out there that do this, but if you have an automation tool in place, it's smart to have messaging turned on because now with Google LSA, we do grab the customer's phone number and we can trigger the text follow-up. But even more important, well, I shouldn't say more importantly, but just as important is what does Google look at to increase your ranking? They look at the speed at which you're contacting those leads. So if you have an automation set up on Google LSA leads, when you set up a text message to go out immediately, we push that back to Google LSA and it actually increases your ranking because Google sees that you're responding quickly.
So it's even it's a tool. It's not just helping with that immediate bottom of the funnel communication, but if you look at it as, in a sense, an SEO tool, or it's at least
Exactly.
it's helping your paid
Exactly.
campaigns rank. Yeah, I've never thought about it that way. The benefits just keep rolling in. Yeah, that's
We
awesome.
we have people that have implemented, CHIRP into the Google LSA speed to lead, and they've reached back out to us and be like, dude, I cannot believe how much our LSA ranking is increased because of the speed that we're contacting leads.
I do want to talk about follow-ups. I think some of the examples that you threw out there already, Justin, are really for those initial contacts. Somebody is searching for a specific service, they're interested. We're trying to get in front of them, trying to get them to book the job.
Yep.
What about customer nurture, or even, I guess, before that, before they even become a customer, follow-ups? Maybe we go out, with our business model, we don't charge to send a fully stocked service vehicle to a customer's property. We show up quickly and we evaluate the situation. We provide the customer with multiple options. We tell them the price. It's flat rate pricing. No work is performed until they sign off, right? But there are cases where somebody may not sign off on the work and we go home, but there's still an opportunity to capture that customer, right? Or maybe it's a larger job, right? We also do drain and sewer repairs and installations, which are bigger ticket items. Typically, it's not that emergency response. So somebody is shopping around. So we may go out, provide an estimate, and they say, okay, I'll call you back later. And we don't hear from them. So how can you help us with that, with following up, unsold estimate reminders, things like that?
Yeah. I'm going to break this down into two. Yeah, great question. I'm going to break this down into two parts. So let's focus on the emergency part first, where you're going out and you're either usually getting a yes or no, right? One strategy that I would implement, and this is super powerful, and I think that this could really help Zoom Drain franchises convert more of those emergency calls, and this happens before you've even given the estimate. There's a trigger in Service Titan called Job Scheduled. Okay? We call this campaign the owner handshake. So imagine that the owner of the Zoom Drain franchise records a video from their cell phone just saying, hey, really appreciate you booking with us. We've put a lot of work into building this business, and there's nobody better at handling emergency services. I'm confident that your technician's going to give you a 5-star experience. They record that video one time, and now anytime a job is scheduled on an emergency service call, that customer's getting that video before the technician even gets into their home. That's instantly creating a relationship with the company. I believe that authenticity and a relationship with the customer are going to be what differentiate companies over the next couple of years with how quickly technology is moving. And the
Yeah.
cool thing about video is you can record it one time, and now anytime something's happening in Service Titan, that video is getting in front of that customer and you're actually connecting with them. So that's what I would say would be a good strategy before you even get into the home, especially on emergency calls.
So that's powerful. Video is powerful. The ability to distribute video that quickly to
Yep.
connect with the customer, and especially to put a face and a voice to a brand, to a local brand.
Yep.
Incredible. Talk to
Yep.
me a little bit more. How does that video get sent out? I guess more so the formatting. Is the customer receiving a link? Because I don't care who sends me a link. I'm a little skeptical.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
a little hesitant to click on it. Or does the video actually show up in the text message?
Great question. So you have two options. The first option is to send a link, but most people will do it through YouTube. And so when you send the link, it shows the preview,
Awesome.
which is
Awesome.
cool because it
Yeah, if I
shows
see a
you
thumbnail, then I
you
trust it.
you you
Yeah.
see a thumbnail. So that's what a lot of companies do. The second option is we can actually compress that video and you can just send it out as a video with no link. And it's pretty clean. It's just a tiny bit distorted, if
Sure.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you have both options. I do a lot of video through CHIIRP. I compress it and send it out as an actual video just because that's how I like to do it. It still looks good, but you can tell that it's not like 100% clear. So
So how do you work with a franchise owner or maybe their service manager on building that library? Because I know that's just one example. I think you guys have multiple video scripts or at least
yeah,
ideas available that you'll kind of coach the owners through. But walk me through that. If I'm an owner, I like the idea of this.
yeah.
Do I get a bunch of scripts that I just read off of a teleprompter and submit to you guys? Do you coach me through the recording process? What's that look
Yeah.
like?
Yeah, good question. So right now, you would reach out to your CSM and let them know that you want to implement some video into your CHIIRP campaigns, and they would kind of walk you through the different strategies where we do that. We just talked about one, which is when a job is scheduled. Another one I was going to touch on here in a minute is when an estimate is dismissed. So
Okay,
not even
let's talk
not
about it.
even sold, but dismissed, right? And that's a really interesting concept for people to understand. But to answer your question, they would reach out to their CSM and their CSM would give them their scripts. The cool thing is it doesn't have to be super produced. It's not like these franchises have to go hire a production company. You actually just want it sitting in your office just so that it comes across more authentic. Um, the thing I was going to say on top of that, and I don't want to go off topic here, but a lot of these questions you're asking me are such good questions because it's like, well, how would a franchise know how to do that? You know, who would they reach out to? What would that process look like? And so one of the things that we've implemented in 2026 is playbooks. We've got 8 years of data and knowing what works and what doesn't work. And so now, instead of really even giving people the option, we're just running them through the playbooks.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what, we've got the campaigns pre-built. And
yeah.
so basically all of the wording of all of the campaigns is pre-built. And then we just say, hey, we're going to need this video for this campaign just because we understand that it just takes the thought process out of it and makes it easier for the contractor.
Yeah, and I love the playbook. And for the Zoom Drain franchise owners who are watching this conversation right now, again, one of the benefits of being part of a franchise system, having franchisor relationships with preferred vendors like CHIIRP. I've seen the playbooks. I'm actively working with the CHIIRP team right now to customize the playbooks for Zoom Drain use cases, right? So we know it's not always a one size fits all. There are
Yep.
nuances to every business, to every
Yep.
model. So I've looked at the playbooks, shared feedback with Justin's team to see how we can enhance each of these campaigns, or to say, like, this really doesn't apply to us, but if we change the
Yeah.
messaging or change the timing. So then when you're onboarded with CHIIRP, you have access to kind of a Zoom Drain model or a Zoom Drain
That's
CHIIRP playbook, right?
playbook.
And that's, again, one of the benefits of having our team here looking around the corner, ahead of the curve on your behalf to make these relationships as seamless and really as effective as possible. So
Yeah.
thanks
That's
for
a
bringing
good
up the
point.
playbook.
Thanks for
Yeah.
doing that. Yeah, it helps to have kind of an owner like that, helping create that playbook specific to, a franchise such as Zoom Drain. So
Yeah, and we want consistency nationwide.
yeah,
I am going to go back to, just because I'm enjoying this. You had mentioned the video style, and a lot of
yeah,
people may or may not know. My background was in production. Like I went to school
okay,
for TV radio initially before I jumped fully into the marketing world. So for me to see these non-polished videos that aren't highly produced, it kills me. Like I want editing, I want music and I want transitions and not over the top, but I look at everything through a cinematic lens.
yeah,
No pun intended. But
yeah,
today, user generated content works. People want
yes.
real. They don't want edits. They want it to feel like
That's
that
what it
owner
is.
just recorded a message from his phone and sent it to me
That's
personally. He's talking to me.
that's what it
So I
is.
get
It's
it.
authenticity.
Yeah, it
People
is.
want authenticity these days because of all of the technology out there and everyone's, behind a screen and people are just like craving authenticity these days. And that's why, especially in these kinds of, it's different for a podcast, but in these kinds of situations where you want a video going out to a customer, you want that customer to feel like you just recorded that video sitting in your office for them. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And that'll probably swing that trend. We'll probably get
yeah,
back to a point where people, well, now it looks kind of unprofessional. I don't trust that this is a real
it might.
operation. And
It
to swing
might.
back to the better it's produced, the better the company. We'll see. But for those watching too, like I know some people just refuse to get on camera. You talk to a business owner, some of them are going to eat up the spotlight. They'd love to be sitting in the studio right now having this conversation. All power to them. Others like, no, I'm good. I don't want to
Yeah.
record myself. I don't want to hear myself, see myself. Like I just want to run the business. And we have videos that we've created. We have what to expect videos. Now they are highly produced, but they are authentic. They're real.
Yeah.
And we have B-roll mixed in. It shows the customer exactly what to expect once you reach out to Zoom Drain. So just know you do have options to still get in front of those customers. It doesn't have to be you. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be the business owner recording video from your phone, submitting
Yep.
it. So either way
And
you want
hey,
to go, we have you covered.
yeah, good point. And at the end of the day, guess what? Whether it's a personally recorded video or whether it's a produced video, really at the end of the day, it doesn't matter that much because you're creating a different experience for the customer. How many companies are going to send them a video?
Right now, not many.
Not many. So just by sending out those videos, you're creating a different experience for that customer. And I kind of, if you're cool with it, I want to touch on the dismissed video, the estimate
Yeah.
dismissed video, because I think it's really powerful. So a lot of companies will trigger a follow-up when there's an open estimate, right? Obviously, they want to close more of those estimates. Of course they do. And that's something you can do through CHIIRP. But not a lot of companies trigger a campaign when the estimate's dismissed or when the estimate's sold.
Mm.
So we trigger videos in both of those situations. So let's say you lose an estimate. Imagine
Yeah.
that person still getting video saying, "Hey, we really appreciate the opportunity we had to come out to your home. We know that you didn't move forward with us. That's okay. Still grateful for the opportunity. Please let us know if you need anything in the future."
Oh,
Imagine what that person's going to think next time they need a service. Man, do you remember that guy that sent me a video even when I went with another company?
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what?
Absolutely.
It's the long play. It's the long play there. And then,
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I couldn't help myself. For us, a lot of the times it's not even a long play because so many times we go in and clean up after somebody else. They decided not to use Zoom Drain. They call the other guy. You get what you pay for. They don't
Yeah.
clear the line. They break something. They don't
Yeah.
show up, and they end up calling Zoom Drain anyway. So
Yeah.
to have that touch, so when something does go wrong with their other option,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it just warms up the conversation and yeah, leaves just a really good taste, after that initial interaction. I love that. And I'm also a big fan of hitting people through multiple channels. So we also have the ability to set up a direct mail campaign with Service Titan Marketing Pro. And we already have templates in Canva, which has very similar messaging, and you can put an offer on it. So it's kind of like, hey, thanks
Abs
for your time. Sorry it didn't work out. but we're here when you need us. Take X amount off your next service with Zoom Drain. So they get that video through CHIIRP almost instantly. 10 to 12 days later, they get a little postcard in the mail. Hit them everywhere.
Absolutely. And you just brought up a really good point. Multi-channel. I have focused on text message a lot this conversation just because a lot of what Chirp does really comes down to conversion.
Yeah.
And when it comes to conversion, people are just communicating through text messages the most. It just works the best. Does that mean other channels are not powerful? Absolutely not. You want to mix in email, which you can also do through Chirp or you could do through Marketing Pro, direct mail. There's psychology behind this. We're trying to hit the reticular activator of the
Mm.
customer. Have you ever gone to a car dealership and you're looking at a new car and maybe you touch it, maybe you sit inside it, you smell it, and let's say you don't even buy it. What happens when you go back out on the road?
You notice every one of those
That
same
car
cars that drive by you.
everywhere. Is that because there's more of those cars on the road?
No, you're just more aware of it now.
You're more aware of it.
Yeah.
It's hit your reticular activator. That is the point of multi-channel. When you're hitting them from text, you're hitting them from email, you're hitting them from postcard, you're driving your message deeper and deeper into that customer's, brain until hopefully we can hit the point of the reticular activator where they start noticing us everywhere.
And reminding existing customers that we exist.
Yes.
It's not all about securing the new deal, but then how do we
To-
nurture existing customers? You've already paid for them. Hopefully, you've already proved yourself to them. You got
totally.
them, right? But they will have a drain or sewer issue again in the future. How
Yep.
do we ensure that we are the first choice for service when that job pops up again? We don't want them to forget about us. We don't want a competitor to slip in. So hitting them through multiple channels throughout the year is extremely important. And it's going to lower your customer acquisition costs
Yep.
dramatically.
Huge.
So how can you help us with that? What other channels can CHIIRP communicate with new and existing customers through?
Yeah, so obviously we've got text message, we've got email, and then we've got ringless voicemail. And so, specifically to what you're talking about, I think it's such a good point. We just interviewed a $40 million a year company, and one of the questions we asked their owner on that call is, what lead generation advice and marketing advice would you give to a company looking to scale to your size? And his answer was really interesting. He said, a big shift for me happened when I stopped focusing so much energy on generating more and more new leads and started shifting my energy to taking advantage of my existing database of customers that I've already paid for and creating customers that would buy from me over and over again. Right. And so
For
with,
the record, I did not pay Justin to say that on this podcast. Thank
no, that
you.
is, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's kind of interesting. We get people, I'll hop on calls with people all the time that are like, man, I need leads, I need leads, I need leads. And I'm like, dude, you've got so many leads sitting in your database of existing customers that you just haven't touched in a long time.
Yeah.
Take advantage of those leads that you've already paid for. So for you specifically, a drain cleaning promotion is a really simple campaign to run to some of your, existing customers. You can do that through CHIIRP. A ringless voicemail is really powerful in those kind of promotional campaigns as the first touch point, because that's just a pre-recorded voicemail that hits the inbox of the customer, shows up as a missed call, but it doesn't ring. So basically, the owner could record a voicemail one time and send it out to, customers in their database, and it's super easy to do. And then you follow that with a text message. It's super high converting, and the text message refers to the ringless voicemail that the owner just left.
What kind of opt-in is required from the customer in order to receive the text messages and the ringless voicemail? Because it sounds amazing, but I know everybody's concerned about privacy policies and, getting dinged for breaking them.
No, absolutely. And that's something that you want to be, very aware of. So obviously you want opt-in language on all your forms. So contact forms on your website, anywhere a customer can opt in. Hey, by submitting your information, you agree to receive text messages. If someone hasn't opted in to something like that and it's an older customer, as long as you've serviced them in the last 18 months, you can reach out to them through ringless voicemail and text message.
So we've covered speed to lead, responding quickly to inbound customers, that bottom of the funnel. I love the example you gave about reaching out to people who've decided, I'm not going to move forward with Zoom Drain, a dismissed invoice or dismissed estimate, I think you called it. Love that idea. So we still are, they know we're here, we're on standby when they do need us. What about open estimates? Because to me, there's just so much power. All it takes is one of these communications to convert with an open estimate to make the investment worth the squeeze there. Talk about open estimates.
Yeah. I love talking about open estimates. And the reason I love talking about this is because if you think about it logically, we've spent the money to get the lead. We've spent the money to send the technician out to the home. And if it doesn't close in the home, on average from our data, we see that contractors are following up 1 to 2 times. So 1.5 times. The challenge is 80% of sales are going to come on the 5th touch point or later. So we're leaving a ton of money on the table. So we just did a case study with Gettle. And the interesting thing about Gettle is they were known for having a really strong sales follow-up process. Ken Goodrich, who started Gettle, that was what he was known for. And even though they had a strong follow-up process for open estimates, they didn't have any automation tool in place. And so they implemented CHIIRP, and we built out a case study where we were able to increase conversion on open estimates for them by 9%. 9% might not seem like a big number, but for one location for Gettle over a 2-month period, it was $752,000 in added revenue.
Wow.
Right. And so it's just if I was going to recommend a company run one automated follow-up campaign, it would be Open Estimate. Because if you go talk to most contractors and you have them look inside of their field service management software, so Service Titan, you have them look at how much money they have sitting in open estimates, it's usually kind of mind-boggling. And it really comes down to the fact that we're just, not following up like we should.
Yeah, there's a ton of power there for Zoom Drain franchise owners, especially around the repair and the install estimates. Again, due to the nature of our service business, typically being emergency service, people are looking for, a service provider immediately, and typically the work is done immediately. Maybe not as impactful, still worth it, still worth turning it on, right? What does it cost you?
Yeah,
A couple
no,
minutes to set the
exactly.
campaign up.
Yep.
But yeah, those follow-up reminders for open estimates with repair and install jobs, man, just critical. So how would you rank them? Because now, coming into this conversation, and I obviously I know the capabilities. I've been working with your team, but you kind of reframed how I think about CHIIRP as far as initially it was speed to lead. You're going to aid us with bottom of the funnel. And I think it's important for people to realize that in that sense, you're not a lead generator. What you're doing is elevating and increasing the effectiveness of your other lead gen vendors. So the Angie's, the Thumbtacks, your Google campaigns. You're not generating any leads out of thin air.
Yep.
You're making sure that we're not wasting money on the leads that we're already paying for. We're getting the most out of those opportunities. So that's how I've always viewed CHIIRP. But the more and more we talk about it, you have this whole other side of the business that's just focused on customer nurture. Going back to the comments about, sitting on these databases and you've already won the customer. There's just so many opportunities to reach out via text, via email, via ringless voicemail to stay top of mind, to thank a customer once a job has been completed, to check in with them, to wish them happy holidays, right? Like you could do these outbound promotional messages.
Yeah.
That just
the job completed is another really good area to do a video. So imagine anytime you complete a job, now that person's getting a video from the owner. Hey, really appreciate the opportunity we had to service you. We know that there's a lot of options out there, and it really means a lot to us that you chose us. So from me and the rest of the Zoom Drain team, we just want to say thank you.
And it's an opportunity. So right there, again, you're providing a world-class customer experience. It makes them
Yes.
feel good. And people remember
Yes.
how people and businesses make them feel.
Yes.
But it's also an opportunity to ask for that 5-star review. It's to
Yep.
ask them, hey, who else do you know? We would love to do more work with people like you. And I'm assuming that based on the customer type and tags within Service Titan, that we could trigger specific messages to specific audiences. So if I do a job for a local restaurant, I could trigger a specific message post job, talking, using language specific to them, asking for referrals, other bar and restaurant owners. You
Yep.
know, there's just so much opportunity from
Yeah,
from a
you
customer
can
nurture
separate
standpoint.
job type, business unit, so that you can cross-sell it, job complete. You can do referral requests at job complete. You can get really targeted in what you're triggering. Yep.
Man, I love it. I
Can I
love it.
talk about one more thing before I
Yes,
forget? The
please.
reason I want to talk about this is I think it's really specific to Zoom Drain specifically because you guys are so emergency focused. And it's a really simple concept, but it is extremely powerful. And it's a missed call text message. It's a missed call text message. So you guys are
Yeah,
emergency based. What happens if you guys miss a call and you're not connecting with that person right away?
they're on to the next.
They're on to the next,
Yep.
especially in an emergency situation. And so one of the strategies that you can run through CHIIRP is a missed call text message. And basically, it's just a text message that goes out immediately when you miss the call. And it says something like, hey, saw that you called in. Really sorry I missed you. We'd love a chance to answer any questions you have. Please feel free to call us back or text us back at this number. Or if you're ready to schedule, click here. And again, you put your booking link in that text message. I know that you guys are rolling out Scheduling Pro. So when I
Yep.
talk about these booking links, I'm basically saying you're putting your Scheduling Pro booking link in a lot of these text message campaigns, and it just makes it extremely easy for your customers to be able to schedule with you.
Yeah, great point. Great point. I mean, again, it's not giving the customer the opportunity to turn to the next vendor on the list.
Yep.
We want to make sure that they stick with us.
Yep.
No, I love that example. We've covered all the capabilities or most of the capabilities CHIRP has to offer, some very specific use cases. Um, how do we measure the impact of CHIRP? Because like I had mentioned earlier, CHIRP's not generating leads, it's helping us improve upon our current campaigns, helping us get in front of customers who reach out to us already faster. How do I measure whether or not I'm getting an ROI for my investment with CHIRP? Talk to me about your platform, reporting, coaching with your team, like, because at Zoom Drain, like, we're going back to the basics and everything has to be measured, and we're making data
Which,
driven decisions on what we're spending money on. And that's what we're trying to teach our franchise owners too. No more
yeah.
gut feeling, no more wasting money on things that aren't actually driving your business forward. So how do I know once I've signed up with CHIRP that it's actually helping my business?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And I did not plan on announcing this here, but this is a good opportunity to do it. We are hearing this more and more. People need to make data-driven decisions. So we actually just released a freaking awesome revenue dashboard in CHIIRP. It's available to anyone that has CHIIRP right now. So you could log into your CHIIRP account right now. On the left-hand side, you're going to see revenue dashboard. And basically, it has every single campaign that you're running through CHIIRP in that dashboard. It will show you how many people you've reached out to in that campaign, how many people have responded, how many jobs have been booked, how much money you have sitting in open estimates in that campaign, sold estimates in that campaign, actual closed revenue through that campaign. And then it even breaks it down further to where you can click a little arrow and it will actually bring up a list of all the customers, the specific customers that are in that campaign.
Wow.
And then next to that customer, there's a little Service Titan tab, and you can click on that Service Titan tab, and it will actually take you to that contact in Service Titan so that you can verify that our data is correct. So
So it's
that's
syncing with Service Titan. It's syncing with
it's
the
syncing with
franchisee's
Service.
account.
Yes, it's basically saying, okay, this Service Titan customer was in this CHIIRP campaign. They responded to this campaign. A job was booked. A job was closed. Here's how much revenue made. and then you can actually go into Service Titan to verify that that data is correct. So that's the data piece. The strategy piece is working with your CSM, because now our CSMs have this data. So we can now see, okay, this campaign's working, this one's not. I wonder why it's not working. Maybe we need to adjust some of the messaging in these text messages. Maybe we need to get a little bit more aggressive. Let's see what's going on. So the data piece would be our new revenue dashboard. The strategy piece would be working with your CSM to make sure that we're running effective campaigns.
Awesome. Powerful stuff. I love to hear it. Thanks for breaking the news with us
Yeah,
today.
I'm
That's cool.
super excited about it, and that's a true story. So any Zoom Drain franchise using CHIIRP right now, you can log in and you've got your revenue dashboard on the left-hand side. So
Well, I appreciate it. The team in Philadelphia, they're CHIIRP customers. And after having this conversation with you, I'm ready to run over there and dig into their CHIIRP account and make sure we're getting the most out of it, because I know there's just so many opportunities. Hey, I really enjoyed the conversation with you today. Again, I appreciate you joining us to share all things CHIIRP with Zoom Drain franchise owners. Thank you for helping us break in the studio with the first official podcast. I think I'll always remember this one. And man, anything else you want to add before I close this up?
no, man, it's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed this conversation. I think the last thing I would want to say to the audience is when I come on these, I'm genuinely not trying to just pitch CHIIRP the whole time. It's hard for me not to sometimes because I work here, but there's other tools out there that do some of the stuff that we talked about today. My ask is that you would just implement some of the strategies that we talked about today, whether you're using CHIIRP or whether you're using something else. I wanted to talk about some specific strategies that would help you in your business today.
Well, that's very noble of you, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell me why CHIIRP. You don't have to throw anybody else
Oh,
under the bus specifically, but why CHIIRP? Why should they, yes, implement the strategies?
yeah.
And if you're going to do it, at least give CHIIRP a shot. That's what I'm hearing. Why? Why CHIIRP?
Yeah, it's because this is our only focus. There's a lot of, there's other companies out there that do stuff similar to CHIIRP, but it's not their only focus. Helping you communicate with your customers and convert more leads is their only focus. We've been doing it for 8 years. And so we've got a lot of experience in knowing what works and what doesn't work. That's how we know to trigger campaigns when an estimate's dismissed or an estimate's sold, or how many touch points you want on a contact form versus an Angie lead, or how you get the customer's phone number out of a Yelp integration. So that would be my answer, is just the experience that we have in doing this.
Appreciate it. All right, everybody. Justin Judd with CHIIRP. I'm Pat Convery with Zoom Drain. Appreciate your time and attention. We'll talk to you soon. Get your life flowing today with Zoom Drain.
Thank you.